Welcome students, my name is Farrago the Music Genie, and I've been brought here today to tell you about all five eras of Western music history. So get out those pens and papers and strap hold onto my magic carpet, because this is going to be a bumpy trip back and forth through time. First up is the Baroque era. The Baroque era lasted from 1600 to 1750 and contains some of the richest and most lasting traditions of style, theory, and instrumentation in Western music. With Baroque music, we gained the early orchestras, operas, a cappella music, and theory behind figured bass. We also got music from famous composers like Antonio Vivaldi, George Handel, and most notably Johann Sebastian Bach. I love that guy, who composed many keyboard and organ pieces that are still performed today. But now that you've got your fix on the Baroque era, let's move on to the Classic era. Y'all hold on. The classical era lasted from 1750 to 1820 and is the most mainstream of Western classical music, for it was the time of some of the greatest musical geniuses and revolutionaries to walk the planet. Although nowadays, those into classical music are probably totally retro. That being said, Mozart and Beethoven are the big names of note. This era was the birth of the string quartet, classical orchestra, and the church cantata, not to mention the finalization of the major and natural minor scales and major scales, still essential in today's music. But now, let's on to the Romantic era, and I'm not talking about those silly love stories here. The Romantic period took place from 1820 to 1914 and contains many musical innovations that inspired the later centuries and helped bring the push into chromaticism that would set the stage for the 20th century. The modern classical orchestra was perfected with the use of a full brass section and percussion section as well, and the theory became more complex and colorful. In America, the developments of chromaticism helped lead to early jazz styles in the 20th century and the emergence of Satchmo, otherwise known as Louis Armstrong. Famous composers are Johannes Brahms, Claude Debussy, and Frédéric Chopin from the West in France and England. But moving further in history, we go to one of the most progressive times in Western music history, as well as one of the most controversial, the early 20th century. In the early 20th century, the most advancements we gained were theoretical. Arnold Schoenberg's development of the tone row system and Stravinsky creating neoclassicism with his use of polychords created styles and types of music never before heard, and much controversy over the direction of Western music resulted from these innovations. Pieces of note are Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, which even caused riots on opening day because of how just outlandish it was. And in America, the style of ragtime and the early blues were developed with Louis Armstrong. I noticed when I started talking about jazz, everyone's head shot up. Well, good, because we're now on to the final and most current era of Western music, also known as the contemporary era. So get ready, because our journey is almost over. Contemporary music is just another name for Western music of today. Theoretical techniques include the creation of serialism in music, as well as minimalism with composers such as Philip Glass and John Cage. The idea that inspired the current era of music was how to combine tonal and traditional methods of music with the styles of the earliest 20th century, and throw in some new genres as well. In America, there was the evolution of jazz, which became a total revolution with the rise of Miles Davis and John Coltrane. Also with the rise of funk with such groups as Tower of Power, and then artists like Maynard Ferguson and the Brecker Brothers with charts like Some Skunk Funk and Birdland. That was Well, that marks the end of our journey through time. I hope you all learned a lot, and I hope everyone got back safely as well. I didn't want to leave anyone behind.